to Geography Nuts, where we explore the world with you. Please subscribe and click the bell button so you can follow along on our journey. Last time, we looked at all 16 U.S. territories and their relationship with the U.S. If you want to watch that video, we'll put a link at the end and in the comments section so you can see it later. Today's destination is Puerto Rico. It's an unincorporated commonwealth of the USA. Puerto Rico is an amazing place to explore. It is one of the most densely populated islands in the world. Puerto Rico is located in the Northeast Caribbean Sea, approximately 1,000 miles or 1,600 kilometers southeast of Miami, Florida. Puerto Rico is an archipelago among the Greater Antilles, located between the Dominican Republic and the U.S. Virgin Islands. It includes a large main island and several smaller islands.
Puerto Rican flag represent the Puerto Rican people and their symbolism. Red stripe represent the blood shed by the brave warriors who fought for Puerto Rico. White stripe represent the victory and the peace Puerto Rico is trying to obtain. White star represent the island of Puerto Rico. The blue represent the sky and the coastal waters. Coat of arms was granted by the Spanish crown in 1511, making it the oldest coat of arms still in use in the Americas. The green background represents the island's vegetation, Lamb of God, and the cross flag associated with the Saint John the Baptist, the patron of the island. The book with the 7 seals the lamb sit on represent the book of Revelation. The border and the crown represent various Spanish kingdoms.
Geography! Puerto Rico is almost rectangular in shape, approximately 100 miles long by 35 miles wide, and it is the smallest and the most eastern island of the Greater Antilles, after Cuba, Hispaniola, and Jamaica. Puerto Rico is made up of 143 small islands, inlets, and cays, measures approximately 700 kilometers of coastline, with an area of 3,425 square miles. Puerto Rico is the 3rd largest island in the United States and the 82nd largest island in the world. Puerto Rico has more than 50 rivers, most of them born from the central region. The longest river is the Grande de Arecibo, which is almost 53 kilometers long. Puerto Rico does not have natural lakes, although it has 15 reservoirs, commonly called lakes, formed by damming the main rivers to produce hydroelectric power and irrigation. Puerto Rico is mostly mountainous, with large coastal areas in the north and south regions of the island. The main mountain range is called La Cordillera Central. Some popular beaches in the island include Jobos Beach, Maria's Beach, Domes Beach, and Sandy Beach. Puerto Rico's highest point is the mountain of Cerro de Punta at 1,338 meters. Its lowest point is Caribbean Sea at the sea level. The phenomenon of bioluminescent is very rare in the world. Few of the 5 known examples occurs in Puerto Rico. Mosquito Bay and Laguna Grande are great places to see the luminescent. Puerto Rico Trench, roughly parallel to the northern coast of Puerto Rico. The Puerto Rico Trench is about 1,750 kilometers long and 100 kilometers wide. The deepest point in the Atlantic Ocean is the Milwaukee Depth. It lies within the Puerto Rico Trench at a depth of 8,380 meters. Even though it is called the Puerto Rico Trench, it is not geographically part of Puerto Rico. History!
First known settlers of Puerto Rico is Otroid people. They were a group of hunters and fishermen who migrated from South America. They date back 4,000 years. Between the 7th and the 11th century, Taino culture developed in the island. By the time Columbus arrived in the island, there are a population of about 60,000 natives living in small villages. Columbus discovered Puerto Rico on his second voyage. First Spanish settlement was established in 1508. At the beginning of the 16th century, Spanish people began to colonize the island. Natives were forced into labor in the early colonization. The population suffered extreme fatality rate due to European infectious disease. In 1520, King Charles I of Spain issued a royal decree to emancipate the remaining Taino population. By the time, the Taino people were very few in numbers. The colonists imported African to compensate for the native labor loss, but their numbers were much smaller than the other island. As they started to do more agriculture and began to produce more agricultural products like cattle, sugarcane, coffee, tobacco, they imported more and more slaves from Africa, still less in numbers than the other Caribbean islands. Under the Treaty of Paris in 1898, Puerto Rico went under the control of United States of America at the end of the Spanish-American War. Jones Act granted U.S. citizenship to Puerto Rican in 1917. U.S. government granted partial self-government in 1947 to Puerto Rico, and this enabled Puerto Ricans to elect their own governor. President Truman signed the Puerto Rico Commonwealth Bill in 1950 and this paved the way for Puerto Rican Constitution. Puerto Rican voted overwhelmingly favoring the U.S. Commonwealth status in 1951. Spanish and English declared an official language in 1993. 2017 is not a year for Puerto Ricans. In May, Puerto Rico declared bankruptcy, the largest ever filed by a local U.S. government. And in September, not one but two hurricanes, Irma and Maria, devastated the island and generated political row over delayed U.S. relief effort. In the middle, in June 2017, Puerto Rico voted overwhelmingly in favor of becoming a 51st state in the referendum. However, only 23% of the population voted, so United States set aside the referendum results. After the hurricane, hundreds of thousands of Puerto Ricans left the island. 200,000 arrived in Florida alone. Puerto Ricans living in the island experienced difficulty getting health care, electricity, and other basic necessities. The total damage to the island was estimated to be up to $95 billion. Rebuilding of Puerto Rico continues to this day. One day, Puerto Rican will decide their fate if they want to be the 51st state or their own independent country or maintain the status quo. We will leave Puerto Rican history here and maybe see in 50 years what happens.
People and culture! The population of Puerto Rico reflects the Amerindian settlement, European colonization, slavery, economic migration, and Puerto Rico's status as an unincorporated territory of the United States.
Current population of Puerto Rico is 3.2 million. 75% of them identify themselves as white, while the 12% identify themselves as black. According to the 2010 census, the number of Puerto Rican living in the United States far exceeds the Puerto Rican living in Puerto Rico. It is not surprised. The most populous city is the capital of San Juan, with a population of about 320,000 people. Spanish and English are official language. All official business in the United States District Code is conducted in English only. English is the primary language of less than 10% of the population. Spanish is the dominant language for business, education, and daily life on the island, spoken by nearly 95% of the population. Puerto Rican Spanish is, however, a little bit different. Their dialect utilize some Taino and English words. The Roman Catholic Church was brought by Spanish and gradually became the dominant religion of Puerto Rico. And the more than half the population still identify themselves as Roman Catholic. The second popular religion is Protestant. More than 60% of Puerto Rican have high school degree or higher level education, and 18% of them has bachelor's degree or higher. The modern Puerto Rican culture is a unique mixture. It includes European culture, mainly Spanish, African, and more recently some North American, even some South American cultures. From Spain, Puerto Rico received their language, religion, vast majority of their culture, moral values, and traditions. And United States added English language, the university system, and adaptation of some holidays and practices. Puerto Rican food is really tasty. It has main Spanish root. However, they have a twist of including some African and native ingredient to make it extra special. And to note, pina colada was invented in the island of Puerto Rico. Baseball was one of the first sports to gain widespread popularity in Puerto Rico. Boxing, basketball, and volleyball are considered popular sport as well. Soccer is quickly becoming very famous.
Government!
Puerto Rico is a self-governing commonwealth of the United States. The chief of the state is the President of the United States of America. The head of the government is the elected governor. There are two legislative chambers. One, the House of Representatives with 51 seats. Two, the Senate with 27 seats. United States control interstate trade, foreign relation, commerce, custom, administration, control of air, land, and sea, immigration, citizenship, currency, maritime law, all aspects of military, constitutional law, treaties, radio and television communication, agriculture, mining, minerals, highways, postal system, and social security. Puerto Rico government authorities look after internal affairs, including public health, education, pollution, environment, all sorts of things. The major difference between Puerto Rico and the states are exempt from some aspect of the Internal Revenue Code, lack of access to some revenues, and its main difference is the lack of voting representation in the US Congress, both the Senate and the House, and presidential election also. Puerto Ricans are Americans who cannot choose their own president.
Economy!
The economy of Puerto Rico is classified as high income economy by the World Bank and as the most competitive economy in the Latin America as the World Economic Forum. Puerto Rico is currently having some financial hardship. Their public debt is $72 billion and the government deficit is $2.5 billion. Puerto Rican economy is mainly driven by manufacturing, primarily pharmaceutical, textile, petrochemical, and electronics, followed by some service industries such as finance, insurance, real estate, and tourism. The geography of Puerto Rico and its political status as an unincorporated U.S. territory both are determining factor in its economy. Primarily due to its relatively small size and lack of natural resources, Puerto Rico depends on a lot of import from other countries. Puerto Rico is poorer than any of the 50 states, with 41% of population living below the poverty line. However, when you compare to Latin America, Puerto Rico has one of the highest GDP per capita in the region. Puerto Rico's main trading partners are United States, Ireland, and Japan, with most products coming from East Asia, mainly from China, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. At global scale, Puerto Rico's dependency on oil for transportation and electricity generation, as well as its dependency on food imports and raw materials, makes Puerto Rico volatile and highly reactive to changes such as climate and world's economy. Puerto Rican agriculture represents only 1% of the need. Since 2006, Puerto Rico's growth has been negative. The dip coincided with the elimination of tax preference that had led US companies to invest in the island since the 1950s.
Nature!
Puerto Rico has highly diverse ecosystem. Puerto Rico has many ecosystems including rainforest, dry forest, sandy beach, rocky shore, coral reef, seagrass bed, mangrove forest, and lagoons. Bats are the only extant native terrestrial mammal in Puerto Rico. 6 subspecies are endemic to the archipelagos. You can find 349 species of bird and 18 of them are endemic to Puerto Rico. Many trees and shrubs are also endemic to the island. Off the western shore of our main island, Puerto Rico, you will find Mona Island, a natural reserve unspoiled by human. It has been compared to Galapagos Island for its natural beauty and colony of iguanas. These iguanas, you cannot find them anywhere else in the world.
Climate!
Puerto Rico's climate is tropical rainforest. The temperatures warm all year round, averaging at 85 degrees Fahrenheit at the lower elevation and 70 degrees at the higher mountains. Easterly trade wind passes across the island year round. Puerto Rico has a rainy season from April to November. Between the dry and wet season, the temperature difference about 6 degrees Fahrenheit. Puerto Rico experiences Atlantic hurricane season. On average, a quarter of its annual rainfall contributed from the tropical cyclones. Thank you for exploring Puerto Rico with us. What did you find interesting about Puerto Rico? We love the people, food, the climate, and its natural beauty. What not to love, right? But I have a question for you. Are you rooting for Puerto Rico to become an independent country or the 51st state of the United States of America? For me, I want the Puerto Rico to be an independent country. Why? Because I think the Puerto Rican culture is unique. I want that country to be independent and the culture to develop, and they are pretty cool people in the Caribbean. So, I don't know. I want the country to be independent. Let me know in the comment section. What do you guys like? Have you subscribed yet? If not, subscribe and ring the bell button so you can explore the world with us. The next stop is going to be Northern Mariana Island. That's another United States Commonwealth. Are you interested? Thank you, thank you, thank you.